Twisted Love Part 1. The boy I was supposed to hate. People always say the opposite of love is hate. They are wrong. Sometimes hate is just love wearing a very convincing disguise. When I walked into my first day of college after summer break, I had one goal: survive my final year, graduate with good grades, and stay as far away as possible from Adam. Unfortunately, the universe had a terrible sense of humor. Adam wasn't just the most popular guy on campus, he was also the only person who could ruin my mood before breakfast. He had his annoying habit of smiling like he knew something everyone else didn't, somehow passed every exam without studying in public, and made friends with literally everyone except me. Our little rivalry had started 2 years earlier, or something ridiculously small. During a college debate competition, Adam had corrected one of my arguments with that ridiculously confident smile on his face. I lost the debate by a single point. Ever since then, we turned every class into a competition. Highest grades, fastest presentations, best project, even the cafeteria somehow became a battlefield. If I bought the last chocolate muffin, he would steal the last iced coffee just to annoy me. One rainy afternoon, I walked into the library only to discover the last empty seat was right beside Adam. He looked up from his laptop, smirked, and slid the chair out with exaggerated politeness. Relax, he said. I don't bite. I rolled my eyes. Good. I wasn't planning on giving you the chance. He laughed, a real laugh this time, and somehow that irritated me even more. Next 2 hours, we sat in complete silence, or at least we tried to. Every few minutes, he would tap his pen on the table just enough to distract me. I kicked his shoes under the desk. He pretended to be deeply offended. I stole one of his sticky notes. He wrote thief on another and quietly stuck it to my notebook while I wasn't looking. When I finally noticed it, I couldn't stop the tiny smile that escaped. He noticed, so he whispered, "Do you know how to smile?" I immediately hid my face behind my book. "Don't get used to it," I muttered. "Oh," he grinned. Challenge accepted. I had absolutely no idea that one stupid smile was about to change everything, because by the end of that semester, the boy I couldn't stand would become the only person I couldn't imagine losing. Some love stories don't begin with a spark, they begin with an argument. After that day in the library, something between Adam and me quietly changed. We still argued over almost everything, but the arguments didn't feel as serious anymore. Instead of avoiding each other, we somehow kept ending up in the same places. If I reached the cafe, Adam was already there, with an extra iced coffee sitting on the table. If he was practicing for a presentation, I'd somehow find myself correcting his slides while pretending I don't care whether he passed or failed. Our friends noticed it before we did. They laughed whenever we bickered, calling us an old married couple. We both denied it every single time, though our excuses became less convincing with each passing week. One afternoon, our class was assigned a month long marketing project, and fate played another cruel joke. Adam and I were paired together. The entire classroom burst into laughter while I buried my face in my hands. Adam leaned back in his chair with a familiar grin. "Looks like you're stuck with me," I smirked. "Trust me, one of us won't survive this project." Our friends, enjoying the drama far too much, came up with a ridiculous challenge. They made a bet that whoever lost the project would have to do whatever the winner asked for an entire day. Adam immediately held out his hand. "Deal." I looked at him for a second before shaking it. "Deal," and started thinking about how embarrassing your punishment is going to be. Working together turned out to be impossible and strangely fun. We'd argue our ideas for 20 minutes, then accidentally come up with something even better. We'd race each other to finish tasks, only to end up helping each other anyway. One evening, while preparing our presentation in the college, the lights suddenly went out because of a power cut. The room fell completely silent. Perfect. I thought. Even electricity doesn't want us working together. Adam laughed softly, turned down the flashlight on his phone, and pointed it towards the stage. Come on, he said. If we are going to win this bet, we might as well practice. Under the soft glow of that tiny flashlight, we rehearsed our presentation, laughing every time one of us forgot a line. For the first time in 2 years, it didn't feel like I was standing beside my biggest rival. It felt like I was standing beside someone who somehow made ordinary moments unforgettable. As we packed our bags to leave, rain began pouring outside. I frowned at the sky. Great, I forgot my umbrella. Without saying a word, Adam opened his umbrella and started walking. After a few steps, he looked back and raised an eyebrow. Coming? I hesitated for a moment before stepping beside him. The umbrella was far too small for two people, so every few seconds our shoulders bumped into each other. You are taking up all at the space, I complained. Adam laughed. You're the one walking like a queen. I nudged him with my elbow, trying not to laugh. You're impossible. He looked at me for a brief second and quietly replied, maybe, but I have noticed something. I looked up. What? His smile softened and he said, you don't hate me as much as you pretend to. For the first time in years, I didn't have any answer. Sometimes the person who steals your peace ends up becoming your favorite place to find it. After that rainy evening, pretending became impossible. We still teased each other every chance we got, but something had changed. The sarcastic moments were softer, the stolen glances lasted a little longer, and somehow everyone around us seemed to notice except the two of us. Whenever I walked into class, Adam would already have my favorite iced coffee waiting on my desk with a sticky note that read, don't overthink it, I just didn't want you to complain all morning. I'd roll my eyes, secretly smiling, and get my revenge by hiding his car keys and changing his phone wallpapers to the most embarrassing photos I could find. We were constantly trying to outsmart each other, yet neither of us realized we had already lost. We were falling in love. A week before the college festival, our friends decided to organize a game night at Ethan's house. It started with card games and loud music, but soon turned into a challenge called Truth or Dare. Everyone knew it was dangerous when the bottle finally stopped spinning, it pointing straight at Adam. No grinned. Truth or dare? Adam didn't hesitate. Dare. No's smile grew wider. Fine. So the dare is spend the next 5 minutes being completely honest with the person sitting next to you. Unfortunately for both of us, I was sitting next to Adam. The room suddenly became quiet. Adam looked at me with that familiar smile, but this time it wasn't teasing, he was nervous. Honestly, he asked me. I nodded. He leaned back in his chair and sighed. Then he asked, you are the most stubborn person I have ever met. Everyone laughed. He continued, you always think you are right. I crossed my arms and replied, I usually am. He chuckled and said, you steal my fries every single lunch break. I replied, because you ordered the best ones. More laughter filled the room. Then his smile slowly faded. He looked directly into my eyes and quietly said, and every time something good happens to me, you are the first person I want to tell. The room went completely silent. Before I could think of a reply, Noah clapped his hand. Okay, now it's my turn. The moment was broken, but my heart refused to calm down. Later that night, I stepped outside onto the balcony to escape the noise. Cool air brushed against my face as I looked at the city lights below. A few seconds later, the balcony door opened and Adam walked out carrying 2 cups of hot chocolates. Peace offering? He asked, handing me one. I smiled, only because it's free. We stood there in comfortable silence until tiny drops of rain began to fall. Adam looked at me and laughed. Why does it always rain when we are together? I shrugged. Maybe the weather ships us. He laughed so hard he nearly spilled his drink. Then, without thinking, we both stepped closer under the small balcony roof. We were standing so close that I could hear his heartbeat, or maybe it was mine. For a brief moment, neither of us spoke. His eyes met mine, and the teasing disappeared completely. He slowly brushed a loose strand of my hair from my face. I have wanted to do that for a long time, he whispered. My heart was racing. It felt like the entire world had stopped. He leaned in. I closed my eyes, and then Noah suddenly burst through the balcony door yelling, "Who stole my pizza?" Adam immediately stepped back, trying not to laugh. I couldn't stop laughing either. The moment was gone. But as we looked at each other through our laughter, we both realized something. Neither of us wanted that almost kiss to be the last one. Sometimes love does not need the perfect moment, it just needs two people willing to wait for. The almost kiss became the biggest secret neither of us talked about. The next morning at college, Adam acted completely normal, greeting everyone with his usual smile, joking with Noah, and pretending nothing had happened. I told myself I was relieved, but deep down I was disappointed. Every time our eyes met, one of us looked away first. It was frustrating because the teasing was still there, yet something unspoken stood between us now. Our friends noticed the change immediately. "You are being weird," Adam said during lunch. Adam laughed. "We have always been weird." Everyone chuckled except me. I quietly stirred my iced coffee, wondering if that almost kiss had meant anything to him at all. A few days later, the college announced its annual festival. The entire campus buzzed with excitement. Food stalls, live music, games, and dancing filled every corner. Adam and I had been chosen to host the evening event together. We spent the afternoon rehearsing on stage, constantly interrupting each other just to make the other laugh. "You're impossible," I muttered after he intentionally changed one of my lines. He leaned closer with a grin. "Yet you still agreed to be my partner." Before I could reply, someone called Adam's name. A beautiful girl walked towards him. She had confident eyes, a bright smile, and hugged Adam the moment she reached him. "Missed me?" she asked. Adam smiled. "Lily," I felt my stomach tighten. She wasn't just an old friend, she was Adam's ex girlfriend. Lily had transferred to another city almost 2 years earlier, and according to everyone's whispers, she had been Adam's first love. Watching them laugh together made something inside me ache in a way I couldn't explain. Adam introduced us politely, but for the rest of the evening, Lily barely left his side. They shared old memories, laughed at inside jokes, and looked so comfortable together that I suddenly felt like I didn't belong there anymore. That night, while the festival lights sparkled across the campus, I quietly slipped away to the rooftop of the college building. The music below sounded distant as I stared at the city lights. Maybe I'd imagined everything. Maybe the teasing, the smiles, and the almost kiss had only meant something to me. A few minutes later, the rooftop door opened. Adam stepped outside. "There you are," he said softly. "I've been looking everywhere." I forced a smile. "Shouldn't you be with Lily?" He frowned. "Why?" I looked away because she looks happier standing beside you than I ever could. For the first time since we'd met, Adam didn't smile. Instead, he took one slow step closer, then another, until there was barely any space between us. He looked straight into my eyes and quietly said, "Do you really think I came up here to talk about Lily?" My heart skipped a beat. Before I could answer, Lily's voice echoed from the staircase. "Adam." He closed his eyes for a second, soft, and whispered, "Not again." Jealousy doesn't create love, it reveals the love that was already there. Lily looked from Adam to me and immediately understood she'd interrupted something important. She smiled sadly and walked closer. "Relax," she said softly. "I'm not here to get him back." Adam looked surprised. Lily laughed. "You still overthink everything." Then she turned to me. "Can I tell you a secret?" I nodded. When Adam and I broke up, he told me something I have never forgotten. He said, I hope one day I met someone who argues with me about everything, but still chooses to stay. I didn't understand what he meant back then. She looked at Adam with a knowing smile before looking back at me. Now I do. With that, Lily gently patted Adam's shoulder and walked back toward the festival, leaving us alone. For a few moments, neither of us spoke. The music from below drifted up to the rooftop, mixing with the cool evening breeze. Adam let out a small laugh and rubbed the back of his neck. You know, for someone who's always confident, I'm surprisingly terrible at this. I folded my arms, pretended to be calm. At what? He took one step closer. At telling the girl I like that I have liked her for a very long time. My heart started racing. Since when? I whispered. He smiled, probably since the debate competition. I stared at him in disbelief. You have got to be kidding. He shook his head. I kept challenging you because every excuse to spend time with you felt better than pretending you didn't matter. I couldn't stop laughing through the tears gathering in my eyes. Do you know how many nights I have spent trying to figure you out? Adam grinned. Roughly the same number of amount I spent pretending I wasn't waiting for your messages. I playfully pushed his shoulder. You're so annoying. He caught my hand before I could pull it away. I know, his voice softened, but I'd really like to keep annoying you if you'll let me. I looked into his eyes, and for the first time, there were no jokes, no competitions, and no pretending, just honest. I guess I smiled. I could survive that. Adam laughed with relief. That's the closest thing to a romantic confession I have ever heard. Don't get used to it. I already am. This time there was no interruption, no ringing phones, no shouting friends, no sudden rain. He gently tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear, the same way he'd almost done weeks earlier, and quietly asked, Can I? I nodded. Their first kiss wasn't dramatic or perfect, it was soft, a little awkward, followed by both of them laughing because Adam had been so nervous he almost missed. You call that confidence? I teased. I peaked in the debate competition, he replied. Months later, graduation arrived. The campus where they had spent years arguing, laughing, studying, and falling in love was finally behind them. Before leaving, Adam and I returned to the empty library where we had once fought over the last seat. He pulled out the chair beside him. Still don't bite, he said with a grin. I rolled my eyes as I sat down. I know. Then I slipped my hand into his. That's why I stayed. As they walked out of the library together, Noah shouted from across the courtyard, Will you two stop flirting? We're going to miss the graduation photos. Adam looked at me and whispered, Ready for the next adventure? I smiled, As long as you're still annoying. He laughed, Oh, that's a lifetime promise. The best love stories aren't about perfect people, they're about two stubborn hearts that finally stop pretending they don't belong together. The end. Thanks for watching.